closing the week-long Child Protection Week campaign in Ladybrand. The focus of the closing ceremony will be on unaccompanied minors, undocumented children, child labor and children living with albinism. Let's listen in.
Our head of departments from various departments, our head of department from our Kingdom of Lesotho who are with us today, officials, members of the media, but very critical, the people who normally soothe us when we are sad, but also when we are happy, our entertainers. Without entertainers, I'm not sure how well the world would be, because when we cry, they're there for us. When we are happy, they're there to rejoice with us. Today, we are coming to an end of the very important week, the week which we talk about the protection of our children. This has been a Child Protection Week. We're supposed to close it today. But I want to call on all of us. How do we close a protection week when our children are still vulnerable? How do we close a week when in Mpumalanga today, as we speak, there's a missing child? And that's not the only missing child, there are many of them. But we have seen where we are now, that our children have been turned into gold. Last week in Mpumalanga again, there was a young child who went missing and $1 million was required from the parents. So our children are now being used as investment or as money-making schemes. I'm raising these issues because it calls upon all of us. And may I also thank our partners, UNICEF, Childline, all of you as you are gathered here to say, in the African culture we say it takes a village to raise a child. Without that, we will not be able to take care of our children. What we need to ask ourselves, why is it continuing despite that we've made many commitments to protect our children? We've seen our young ambassadors, very effective, very efficient, but what is key for all of us as parents, as adults, as men, as women, to what extent are we ready to protect our children? When our president calls and say, "Tuma mina," what questions do we ask ourselves? Does "Tuma mina" mean "Tuma mina" and not "Tuma mina" to take care of my neighbor's child? Does the president, when he says "Tuma mina," I don't care about somebody's child, I'm more worried about my children? I think it's high time as a society in South Africa to stand up and say, not in our names. I'm raising this particular aspect because these days we care about my biological child. I don't care about my neighbor's child. We need to change our attitudes. We need to change our behavior. We have sufficient laws as a country. Our laws are so good. If those laws and papers were able on their own to translate into action, our kids would be protected. But we all know that the kids cannot be protected by papers. those papers require us as human beings, as responsible people, to protect them. We're having this day during the year when we also celebrating the centenary of our icon, Nelson Mandela, but also one of our mothers, Mam Albertina Sisulu, who is also turning 100 years. If we go back to Masisulu, Masisulu was a midwife who sacrificed her life, carrying a suitcase on her head, visiting different houses to give birth to children. And I must say, those children today, which she gave birth or assisted the parents to give birth, we are those children who are adults today. Therefore, to my peers, to all of us, where are we to protect the current children, to grow up, to be responsible adults, to be ministers, to be doctors, to be professors, to be various professions in their society? I'm raising this matter because for all of us, as we are gathered here in Mantsupa, I know you call it Ladybrand. Where's the premier? She's out. MEC, I prefer to call it Mantsupa. Why I prefer it to call it Mantsupa? It's because Mantsupa protected her people as a mother. She was a warrior. We need to learn from them, those who sacrifice their lives to make sure that the democracy we enjoy, they have contributed towards. It does not end up with us, but it continues to also make sure that our children are protected. May I also take this opportunity to thank my Deputy Minister for the partnership which she has created with Lesotho. I want to assure her this partnership and honorable ministers, your excellencies, it's not going to end up here. We're going to take it further. And the reason I'm saying that is that South Africa is a beneficiary for many, many years from Lesotho. We are a country which benefited from the cheap labor of Lesotho through the migrant labor system when we were digging our mines. Some of them today, as we speak, are no more. Some of them today are sick of silicosis because of them contributing to the economy of South Africa. But today it's more significant because we're talking about the children. We know as South Africa once more, whilst we say there's no more slavery, whilst we say we've got good labor relations, but South Africa, because in any society, you will always get those who want to continue to benefit unfairly. Those who continue to see the children of Lesotho as cheap labor, as slavery. Not only as slavery, but also as child involved in sexual abuse. I hope this partnership, as we continue, Deputy Minister, we are going to work with the Department of Labor. Because if we are not going to pull together the Department of Labor, we will not do justice to the children of Lesotho. I was saying to the Premier and to Your Excellency, Minister Muletsane, I was saying this program, Koni, should have included the children of Lesotho. We can't talk of a partnership which is lopsided. We need to talk to those children if we have to make sure we are in SADC indeed a model, but also we care for all our children. The children of Lesotho are our children. Today, as we speak, the mother of the same children, the mothers in South Africa, when they come and render their services, as they clean our houses, as they keep us clean, as they feed us with our children, we are proud, at least in South Africa, that now they can come legally because they are covered by the basic condition of employment in South Africa. I want to say, ministers, make sure that it's not only known in South Africa alone that the women who come to Lesotho, from Lesotho to South Africa, they don't have to cross but Ulanuka. They've got the rights. They must get permits. We must employ them properly. They must earn decently because our laws do recognize that. Therefore, I want to extend this to our children again, to say, children of Lesotho, we must work on that, Minister. We must make sure, whilst we might have various laws, we protect our own children. Our protection must extend to our neighboring countries. Our protection must make sure that, as we know, being around this area, we're talking about an area which is full of farmers. Those farmers must not continue to use and abuse the children of Lesotho for cheap labor.
And that Social Development Minister Susan Shabangu closing the week-long Child Protection Week campaign in Ladybrand in the Free State. Now let's cross now to Braamfontein in Johannesburg, where the South African Communist Party is holding its 14th Congress Central Committee meeting.
Historical background and evolution of the alliance, and on the current challenges and the imperative of a reconfiguration of the alliance in order to advance a second radical phase of the National Democratic Revolution. On Saturday morning, President Cyril Ramaphosa addressed and engaged extensively with the Central Committee. These respective inputs and the ensuing collective discussions converged on all major issues. It was agreed that there was a new mood within the country that offered important prospects for reversing the serious declining situation that our movement and our country had been on.